This third video on building good habits for freelancers is all about actually doing the work. I'm going to share concepts and tips that have helped me be more productive with my actual work sessions and have helped me use my time in a more intentional and efficient way. To be honest, I have actually fallen off a little bit in the last year or so, but hopefully in making this video, it'll help me get back on track. A really big concept that changed the way that I think about work comes from this book, Deep Work by Cal Newport. One of the main points that Mr. Cal makes in his book is that there are two types of work, deep work and shallow work. The more you can prioritize deep work, the more productive you'll be, and in turn the more fulfilled you'll feel and the more value you can bring to your job or your career. So what is the difference between deep work and shallow work? Deep work is the hard work that is cognitively challenging. It requires focus, it creates new value, and it's really hard to replicate. That is, it's the type of work that only you can do. From a filmmaking perspective, an example might be writing scripts or editing films. On the other hand, shallow work is the type of stuff that feels busy but isn't actually asking you to think very hard or be creative. You're usually not progressing your main area of work. It's usually peripheral stuff. It's the kind of work that can be done while you're distracted because it doesn't require a lot of focus, and it could kind of be done by anyone, really. Examples of this are administrative things like emails or some kinds of meetings. Now that you know the difference between deep work and shallow work, let me touch on why to prioritize deep work, and later in the video I'll share some tips on how to prioritize deep work. Cal Newport talks a lot in the book about the economic reasons for prioritizing deep work, about how it'll allow you to create more value in the economy and therefore make you richer eventually. But for me, it's more about the way that it makes you feel and the output that it leads to, rather than any economic reasons or the ideas about getting rich in the future. When I talk about the way that it makes you feel, I'm talking about how deep work is kind of tiring and draining. But just like the gym, which is also draining, you feel really good afterwards. You know that you've put in the hard work to do something challenging that is good for you and that has helped you grow. You've probably felt the opposite way sometimes as well. I know I have. Like, as freelancers, we might have days that feel really busy, but there's this weird anxiety that lets you know that you didn't actually do anything productive. Like, yes, you sat at your desk all day, maybe, but all you got done were some emails and a whole bunch of doom scrolling. You just feel kind of empty and anxious. But on the days where you manage to squeeze in a few good solid hours of deep work, you feel more fulfilled. In terms of the output, deep work just makes you more productive. You end up progressing your work faster, and it helps you achieve the goals that you set for yourself, which might have nothing to do with getting rich, by the way. Deep work can be just as applicable for the hobbyist writer who's writing a novel around their day job and who maybe has no desire to be a full-time writer. So how to deep work? First, you have to figure out how you're going to fit deep work into your schedule, which is going to depend on your exact situation. There are a few different types of deep work schedules. Cal Newport breaks them down as philosophies in the book. There's the monastic philosophy, which is when you consecutively spend full days doing deep work without allowing any distractions in a sort of burst of productivity. There's the bimodal philosophy, where you split your week up and have some days fully dedicated to deep work and the other days for everything else. There's the rhythmic philosophy, which is implementing smaller chunks of deep work into every day. And there's the journalistic philosophy, which is basically when you scrape together deep work sessions whenever you can in amongst everything else. For me at the moment, I'm going for a rhythmic deep work philosophy, which is where I try to squeeze in a couple of good hours of deep work into every work day. By the time I edit and release this video, I will have started rehearsals for a theatre show. So we'll see if my deep work becomes much more journalistic, where I try and scrape together some time before and after rehearsals. Or if I will just be so busy with rehearsals that I won't have time to focus on anything else. We'll find out. Now that you've got your deep work philosophy or schedule, it's about making those hours as focused and disciplined as possible. I'm going to share 5 tips that will help you get the most out of your deep work hours. Number 1, schedule it in. Actually scheduling deep work hours into your calendar is a really powerful way of helping you to actually commit to doing them. It can be really hard in this day and age to bring yourself to focus, so anything you can do to essentially force yourself to commit is a good thing. 2, protect it. As a freelancer, you're kind of always able to change around your schedule, which is one of the great things about being a freelancer. but try to protect your deep work hours. If someone wants to catch up for coffee or even have a work-related meeting during those hours, try your best to reschedule and protect your deep work hours. This will send a really clear message to yourself that it's really important and you're trying to prioritize it. Number 3, remove distractions. This is pretty classic and obvious, but turn off all your notifications, including the little red badges. Quit your mail app, quit the messenger app, and put your phone in the other room. You'll be surprised how forgettable these things are when you're in the flow of deep work. But they're only forgettable when the constant cues aren't visible to you, like the little red badges or the notifications or even seeing your phone. 4, use a timer. You can use a timer when you're really struggling to bring yourself to do the deep work. You can chuck on a timer for say 30 minutes and give yourself the option to bail on the deep work at the end of it. More often than not though, you'll probably keep going because it was just getting started that was the hard part. There's a weird sort of psychological effect that happens when you put on a timer. It kind of gamifies the task in a way. I don't really understand how it works, but using a timer to just get started with your deep work session can be really helpful. 5, track your deep work hours. This is a new one that I'm trying to get into this year, tracking my deep work hours. Because I'm editing my calendar throughout the day to actually reflect what I ended up doing, I have a pretty clear view on how many deep work hours I got done in a day. Tracking this will help keep me more accountable to myself, and it'll also give me a little boost of motivation when I see the hours rack up as the weeks go by. I highly recommend checking out Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's a book that's low-key changed my work life, and it's a book that I'll keep going back to remind myself of the ideas and get that boost of motivation. So this was part 3 in this series on good habits for freelancers. You can watch the previous videos in this series here. Let me know if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. Otherwise, until then, good luck with your deep work. Bye.